Today we're talking about something that affects energy, mood, and long-term health: blood sugar regulation. It's said that balancing blood sugar is more than just cutting sugar. It's about smart, consistent choices that support the body. And joining me in studio to chat more about this topic and what we need to do to keep things in balance is nutritional therapist and NLP practitioner NicciRobertson. Now, Nikki, this thing of blood sugar, I think the assumption for so many as people is, well, I don't have diabetes, blood sugar is whatever, I can do what I want. But how important is it to maintain your levels throughout the day, no matter who you are?
So yes, it is something we associate with diabetes. It's something we associate with prediabetes, so metabolic syndrome. People do think that it doesn't affect them unless they've been diagnosed. It's not true at all. Anyone who hasn't eaten the whole day and starts to feel like irritated come 11 o'clock or 3 o'clock, that is misregulation of blood sugar. So unless we eat small frequent meals and we manage what is in that meal, we're going to be all over the place, and that's when we make bad choices. Yeah.
And Nikki, how dangerous is it? And I'm talking from experience with all the discussions I have about nutrition with you and others. I still make mistakes sometimes. You know, if you have had nothing to eat all day and then you go grocery shopping and you quickly grab a chocolate and you eat that chocolate, and within half an hour you're shaking and you're falling apart, you feel terrible, you know. So talk to us about why these dips and spikes are so bad for us.
So what happens when you eat that chocolate, especially on an empty stomach, is there's a surge of glucose into the body. It gets your heart rate up, so your metabolism, your adrenals, everything starts working. It signals the pancreas to go and produce insulin to come and grab that glucose and put it away where it needs to be put. But because there's nothing else there, it drops you really quickly. So you get really tired, it affects your moods, and you get more hungry. So if you do that day on day, you're always going to make worse and worse nutritional decisions because you're basing it off hunger, desperation, and you can't think clearly.
Absolutely.
And that's where we see people put on weight, and we see people over time become diabetic.
Okay. So now, Nikki, I suppose then the aim is to have a sort of a level, fairly level, stable run throughout the day of sugar and how your body's using sugar. But now, when we say sugar, it's not about processed sugar. This is sugars from foods, good quality foods that you're eating that are sustainable, that's feeding your system. So how do we build a balanced process?
Okay, so it's first really important to understand that everything becomes sugar in the blood if it's not protein or fats. So when we say carbs, it's a blanket term for carbohydrates, and carbs aren't bad things. I mean, they're critical for all functions. It's where those carbs come from. So you'll find carbohydrates in vegetables and fruit, in grains, and of course in table sugar or anything that's made from sucrose or glucose. So when people say they cut out carbs from their diet because they want to lose weight or they are looking after their health, most of the time they're talking about processed carbs. So that's biscuits, pastries, breads, pastas, that kinds of thing. Foods that become sugar really quickly in the body and give you that crash. So they absorb really fast and they deplete really fast, and then you're left feeling shaky and hungry and irritable. So it's important to make sure that our carbohydrate sources come from foods that are unprocessed, and the reason for this is because they also contain fiber. And fiber slows down that reaction. But before that, things like healthy fats and especially protein slow down that reaction even further. Now, when we've got protein and fat in our diets as well as carbs, we eat less overall because we get full faster. And that is, it's really easy. That's the way we control blood sugar regulation, or how we regulate our blood sugar. That is the way we control our appetite. So we don't go looking for sweet things after dinner. And most people who do go looking for sweet things after dinner haven't controlled their blood sugar during the day. This is typical. And especially if you haven't started the day with protein, by 11 o'clock and at 3 o'clock, you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel hungry, and you're going to be making bad decisions. Because your blood sugar, so at the beginning of the day, was already upping and downing and crashing. It's like a roller coaster.
Now, talk about those bad decisions also from a neurological perspective. Because if your body is not functioning, it doesn't have the right energy, and then it's blasted with a high level of energy, and then that crashes down, your brain is not actually functioning the way it should, right?
Your brain is good for survival. So if you're all over the place and you're feeling tired and irritated, your brain knows that it needs food and it needs something that's going to satisfy it really quickly. So we go for the delicious things.
Okay.
We go for the chips, we go for the chocolate bar, because we know that's going to sort us out really fast. We also know it's going to crash us again.
Yeah.
But in the moment we do what we can because we are geared for survival.
Absolutely.
So it's about preempting that. So when people come to me for help with nutrition, aside from diet, it's about controlling those times in the day or preempting those times in the day when you're going to hit that crash.
Yes.
And almost 9 out of 10 people say 3, 4 o'clock, that's the problem hour for me. This is where things go wrong. And we can so easily fix that. And we fix that by making sure you get protein in the morning. So what happens 6 hours before, and then about an hour before that typical crash period.
Okay.
So we have just a small meal that's made up of a whole lot of delicious little things like biltong and some vegetables and some nuts and some fruit, just snacky food, even a meze platter. And then come 3, 4 o'clock, you're not hunting for the wrong thing.
Right.
And you won't eat as much dinner because you're not starving.
Okay.
And then you won't go craving the chocolates after dinner. And you haven't dieted, but you've lost 5 kilos because you've just changed the chemistry.
And Nikki, I want to also go back to this idea of protein in the morning because, I mean, traditionally people have been told cereals, but cereals are probably the worst thing you could eat in the morning.
Absolutely.
So what's the best way to start your day that is going to keep you going throughout the day? Obviously, you need to still eat through the day, but and on that same note, I just want to clarify about intermittent fasting because some people are not eating at all in the morning.
Yeah.
So how should you be tackling that without hitting those crashes and
Okay, so intermittent fasting is an interesting one, and it doesn't work for everybody. It does work for some people, and absolutely, if it works for you, keep doing that.
Right.
The bottom line is we need a certain amount of protein in a day to sustain our muscle mass and to function healthily and age well. That is 2.2 grams per kilo of total body weight, which is a lot of protein when you actually break it down. So for most people, that looks like about 30 grams of protein per meal.
Okay.
That isn't a 30-gram piece of steak.
Right.
That is
It's not all
130
protein.
grams of
Right.
steak. So it's a lot from a total net weight point of view. That isn't all protein. So it means you've got to eat a lot to get those points in. If you're intermittent fasting, you're going to be pushing all that protein towards the end of the day. So if you're skipping breakfast and start eating at lunchtime onwards, you've still got to get that protein in to not lose muscle.
Yes.
And this is what we're seeing with GLP-1 inhibitors or agonists, that people are losing muscle because they're just not hungry and they're not eating enough protein.
Okay.
You can overcome that very easily if you're mindful of your protein intake. So I prefer, if people want to intermittent fast, is to start fasting in the late afternoon or have dinner really early and use that window. Okay, that works with our cortisol levels, it works better with our hormones. You're still getting that fasting window, but you've also got the protein in from early in the day.
Right.
Now, studies have shown, and I hate using the word studies because studies are, depends who's funding the study, but there's a lot of evidence that's coming to light now. If we start eating protein earlier on in the day, our hunger signals taper off later on. So we're less likely to make bad decisions later on in the day.
Right.
I like to use whey protein because you can get a lot of protein into a smoothie really efficiently. But it's got to be a good quality product. It can't just be any old thing off the shelf. You've really got to know what you're looking at. So that is a tool. Whey protein shakes, if they're made well, is a tool to help you hit those protein targets. And that really, really keeps you in control for the whole day.
Right. Nikki, thank you so much as always. Great to get going on this and help people to kind of find their right way out of the struggle. So thanks for joining us.